I want to speak about death, or rather the performance of dying, and to go back to this rumor about the death of Putin on October the 26th, 2023, from the anonymous Russian Telegram channel, which claimed that Putin had died at his Valdai residence. And since then, rumors of a corpse on ice, of doppelgangers, of secret funerals, of um, arcane rituals, like killing eagles, have swirled like incense in a temple of misinformation. But this is not new. History gives us a remarkable precedent: Cleopatra's theatrical announcement of her own death to test the love or the loyalty of Mark Antony. He killed himself in despair, and she followed not long after. Actually, he didn't do a terribly good job of it, and he ended up sort of half dead, half alive, and wanted to be carried up to Cleopatra's monument. Cleopatra's ruse was personal, but also political. It was not just about romance, it was about influence, control, testing the fracture lines of power. And when she sent Mardian to falsely report her death, she was calibrating Antony's reaction, gauging his reliability in crisis. And in that respect, it mirrors what Ukrainian intelligence believes the Kremlin was doing when it floated fake news of Putin's demise to measure elite reaction loyalty and the fragility of post-Putin plans. Though I think there may have been reality lying behind it because of the specifics. In both cases, rumour is not an accident but an instrument, a lever. Just as Octavian used Antony's alleged will to whip Rome into a frenzy and brand him a traitor enthralled by an Eastern seductress, so too do modern actors, state or sub-state, employ whispers to disorient, to test, to control. Cleopatra's image, a manipulative temptress bent on corrupting Roman virtue, that's Octavian's view, was largely the invention of Octavian's spin machine. The facts of her reign, her intellect, her fluency in languages, her economic policy were buried beneath the weight of propaganda. And the victor, as ever, writes the obituary. So too with Putin. His image has been carefully stage managed for decades. Hunter, judo king, warrior, savior of the Ruski Mir. And now, in the middle of signs of physical decline, stilted gait and erratic gestures, the myth fractures into the vacuum. Therefore, step analysts like Valery Solevi feeding us a steady diet of body doubles and heart attacks. But is this resistance or is this choreography? Solevi, for all his seeming opposition, continues to operate freely in Moscow. His stories, whether planted, permitted, or genuine, feed both the hope of regime change and the paranoia of its persistence. When Cleopatra and Antony died, Rome celebrated and mourned, but the real victor was Octavian, who used their deaths to consolidate power and crown himself Augustus. The transition wasn't smooth. It was steeped in disinformation, forged documents, and performance, not least the claim that Octavian was Julius Caesar's nephew and was the right heir to Caesar. And indeed, as a result, to ensure that transition, Octavius took Caesar's name and guaranteed that all subsequent Caesars, right the way up to the Tsar and the Kaiser, continued to take the name Caesar. Indeed, in some places in the world, I think the British kings were known as Caesar. In today's Russia, we don't know if Putin is dead. We do know that fake news of his death has been used, according to Ukrainian intelligence, as a stress test for the Russian system. We also know that there are doppelgangers. The general SVR channel, whether rogue or state-sanctioned, has created a dramaturgy of decline, and the public, like a Roman mob watching a tragedy unfold on stage, is unsure whether the script ends or real life begins, rather like El Cid. And just as the death of Cleopatra didn't end Roman imperial ambition, just as the death of Julius Caesar, according to Shakespeare's, we're on a bit of a Shakespeare romp, didn't end Caesar's impact. Indeed, a really good essay question that I used to give to students was Caesar dead is more powerful than Caesar alive. Discuss. Just as the death of Cleopatra didn't end Roman ambition, so too the death of Putin, real or imagined, will not bring peace. As Alexei Danilov rightly warns, the system is saturated with inhumanity, and one tyrant may fall, but the edifice remains. This isn't a tale of corpses, it's a tale of power and theatre. The historian Suetonius wrote of the death of Julius Caesar with forensic relish. Shakespeare turned it into a tragedy. Today, Sir Levy and General SVR are somewhere between journalist and playwright, spinning scenes for a digital audience eager for catharsis, for cleanliness. But what is the cost? We may be witnessing the birth of what the historian Mark Galeotti calls a postmodern autocracy, one where truth is optional but loyalty is mandatory, where even death can be faked to reinforce control. To return to Cleopatra, her death, whether by asp or dagger, ended a dynasty, but it birthed a myth. And Putin's afterlife, if we may call it that, could be even more dangerous than Putin's living reality. If he is dead and a double rules, it speaks of a state not just in denial but in delusion. If he lives yet tolerates this theatre, then we're watching a system built not on fear alone but on the manipulation of perception itself. And so we end where we begin, in a world where death is rumour, leadership is impersonation, and truth is a casualty of the spectacle. It may not end well. I'm afraid it rarely does. And Shakespeare sums it up rather brilliantly. Antony and Cleopatra and Cleopatra's servants all end up dead on the floor when Octavian walks in.